Welcome to the PVG Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Thursday night football recap. We're going to do a preview of this week's games. We're also going to do a little bit of a recap on last week's games. As always, beloved guest, I should co-host Persian Pinocchio, aka Arash.
I had a feeling that Carson Wentz was gonna have a shitty game, and I had him starting. I had Carson Wentz starting, and I was like, I think Justin Fields is the better pick to. And I started him last minute in like 5 leagues, and so that was a money move. I feel like players that did well last night were Ryan Robinson, which I started him in every league I had, and Justin Fields were the only safe picks, and Curtis Samuel dropped a 40-yard touchdown. I didn't even see that play until like I saw the replay. I was like, how you drop that? And then they started giving the ball to Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. I guess because it's Halloween and they want to scare our fantasy football players. The Bears running back situation seems like a straight on committee now. They gave like 50% of their carries to Montgomery, and Herbert did more with his he had that 64-yard run, and
Mm-hmm.
I started him in one league, but they the Bears had three red zone trips with 0 points, and I don't understand why they didn't do the student body left, the quarterback run to the left with everybody pulling, you know,
Yeah.
and even the Commanders tried that once with Carson Wentz when he rolled his ankle, and it's like I don't understand why you you want to make Fields a pocket passer
Mm-hmm.
when you could have even QB sneaked it from the 1 yard line and got the
Yeah.
touchdown. And they had to push on that run, and then the linebacker came and like clogged the hole at the end. So I don't know. It just the Bears play calling in the red zone just didn't make any sense to me, and it really
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad that, like the whole everything, the whole game, essentially the offense on both sides.
And then Fields, the receiver was open on the last play of the game, and you're right about that PI the play before, but
Hmm.
but that was totally PI. And then the last play of the game, Darnell Mooney's wide open, and Fields
Yeah.
holds it too long, and by the time he throws it, the coverage gets back on him and missed that opportunity. It was just a frustrating game to watch.
They're not doing what Fields does best. He was really good at, throwing the ball and then running the ball. And, they're trying to do like some precision passing and things like that with him. And he just doesn't read the defenses that well. So, they just got to be like, okay, you're going to do a 7-step drop back and throw it deep. I would like to just to see it like them try to open it up. Same thing. That's what Trey Lance did well, right? Like he would throw the deep ball well, but he couldn't throw those like short intermediate patterns, those timing routes that well, just because he's just not experienced enough. And even though Fields has a couple more years experience and started like a major program like Ohio State, he still is not be able to do that and hit those throws with consistency. So, I'd like to see them kind of like dumb down the playbook a little bit, like do more play action, like long passes, and then also, get him outside in space and see if he can run the ball like outside, when they do some more design cute quarterback runs. Because you look when he was in space, man, he almost scored the game when he touchdown. He should have, but
Yeah,
he ended up getting forced out of bounds.
39
So
yard gain.
yeah. So I mean, I think Fields' value is with being able to cut like his mobility and then his arm strength. So I think they just need to utilize that more. And then on the Washington side, just looking at Carson Wentz, he's just not a good quarterback at this point.
Who would you trust in week in and week
Yeah.
out? you know?
So I liked Curtis Samuel going into the game. Obviously, he's leading the team in targets every week. Even this week, he led the team in targets. But it's all very short throws, like quick little outs and little stop routes. He got the one deep pass finally, and should have been like a 40-yard touchdown, and he literally dropped it. Continue to get these little short passes, get like 6, 7 targets, like 67 yards, like 11 targets, 6, 7 receptions. Like, yeah, is it good in fantasy if he scores a touchdown? Yeah, but he really, maybe in PPR leagues, like if he's catching a lot of balls, like he still will have some value. But it's looking like he's not getting the carries that he was getting earlier in the season. Looks like McLaurin's getting those now. Like scary Terry, right? And then now so moving forward, like I don't know what to expect from him. So I don't I wouldn't trust him to play him next week. And moving forward, if you have better options.
Yeah. I don't feel I didn't feel terrible dropping him or trading him,
Yeah,
Seem
I mean that's going to probably be a good trade for you once Keenan Allen comes back because I know you traded Curtis Samuel for Keenan Allen, so I think that's
yeah.
just a good move for you. Enough about the Commanders versus the Bears because those were pretty. That was a pretty bad game. Let's talk about what happened in the Chargers game at the end of the game. I know we talked about Brandon Staley and his decision making, and he did it once again. 4th and 2 on his own like 45. Decided to go for it. Of course, they don't run it. They just kind of like throw some pass, gets broken up. Basically, gave Cleveland the chance to win the game,
You know,
and he missed the field goal. So it was pretty dumb. You see Keenan Allen tweeted at him like, "What are we doing?" Right?
oh
So
really?
yeah, he did. Like during like right as a decision was being made, it was like, wow, like what are we doing right now? Like just punt the ball, like let
Like
your defense play.
30 coaches are punting the ball. The only people that I see maybe going for that is John Harbaugh. Sometimes does questionable calls like that,
Yeah.
and Brandon Staley, and the defense really bailed them out, and Cleveland bailed them out because on first down they went for a bomb, you know, and
Yeah.
that's great. Like in the middle of the game, like when you get a turnover on downs and you want to, go for a bomb afterwards, but with like literally like 30 seconds left in the game, you just need to get a few more yards to make the field goal more kickable. So that was Cleveland kind of bailed him out with that call, field goal, and he missed it to the right. And it was just like a comedy of errors to get them
It
to
really
bail
was.
to bail him out. And it was like,
Yeah.
what in the hell is going on? Like that was like the Twilight Zone again. It was like, you know, like I know I said it before. You don't have to be too damn stupid to be a football coach, but you can be too fucking smart. And
Yeah.
and and he
Mm-hmm.
and he showed that. And he showed that again. And
Away with it again. He always gets away with these bad decisions, except for the play like that game against the Raiders last year.
is he going to cost him a playoffs again? That whole sequence where Everett wanted to come out and they threw that pick six that we talked about in the first
Yeah.
podcast. You know, I think that was before Herbert had gotten really hurt in that game. And then what happens? They're forced to throw the ball because they're behind, and Herbert gets two big hits on his ribs, and now his star quarterback's hurt because
Mm-hmm.
you didn't want to take a timeout to hurry it up to gain an
Yeah.
advantage, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just reckless coaching, just reckless.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Tua. What do you think about that? Like most other quarterbacks aren't really getting hurt as bad as him. They brace for impact, and I feel like Tua's getting thrown around like a rag doll a little bit.
Yeah. He gets ragdolled a lot. Seems like he goes to the ground pretty hard every single time that he's getting sacked or going down. So he's definitely got to work on that when he gets back. Hopefully he'll get back here soon. I know he's out this week, and it looks like Teddy Bridgewater is going to be out this week because they decided, hey, he didn't have a concussion. I don't know why he didn't have a concussion or why he had to pass concussion protocol. And then now suddenly he's got a concussion again. And it's like, okay, well, he didn't pass concussion protocol this week, but they're saying he passed it during the game. But now he's going to be the second string if he passes concussion protocol before Sunday.
So
So what
now,
is going on in Miami with the concussion stuff? It is just ridiculous.
so now they're being
I mean,
careful.
yeah, Mike McDaniel. I think they're just scared out of their mind. So Mike McDaniel's like, yeah, I think we're gonna have him out this week. I don't know. They don't know what they're doing. It's a mess. It's a
Yeah.
mess in Miami, and it's a mess with how they're. I think they've got like PTSD on the concussion syndrome here. So
Do you think
we'll see
Tua's
what
coming
happens.
back
But
this
it
year?
looks like it's going to be Skylar Thompson again, and looks like Tyreek Hill is going to play. So as far as he's so good. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the production that he was getting under Tua or even Bridgewater with Skylar Thompson. So we'll see. They're playing Minnesota this week. So
Yeah.
I would expect that to be a pretty high scoring game, but with the quarterback situation being such an unknown, I don't know what to expect from Skylar Thompson. Like I could see it like being a bad game for them. But their defense is not good, and I see Minnesota having a real good day. There's skilled players like Dalvin Cook should have a good day. JJ should have a good day. Even Cousins. So I would definitely start all those guys looking at really good days. But I
Would
think
you
Minnesota's going to win the game, and
would you be
Miami is going to
starting
lose yet another game.
would you be starting Waddle and Hill?
I am going to start Hill. I mean, I have him in my fantasy team, and
What about
you got to roll
Waddle?
with him, and I hope he's healthy. He's the best, one of the best deep threats in the game, if not the best. Him and Jefferson on the other side, but I'm going to start him.
What about Waddle? Would you start him if you had him?
Yeah, Waddle, I'd be a little bit more nervous about, but you just never know. It's kind of hit or miss, right? Like
Yeah.
he's a stud. He's a fast guy. He's also a deep threat. So he could have a good game. He could catch a long touchdown. We don't know. So I feel like you have to play those guys, but I wouldn't be that confident in doing so. But you don't really have a better option, I think, than those guys because they're pretty good players.
Do you think Tua's coming back this year?
That I'm not sure. I know that he had limited practice this week.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, he did. So I would say I think he'll be back week 7,
Week 7.
unless something comes up. But I can see him either week 7 or week 8. So he'll be back. I think. If he's practicing, that means hopefully that he's recovered. But I mean, that was really serious. A couple weeks ago, what we saw take place on the field.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping he'll be back. I want to see him play. I think he was running the offense well, and they were off to that hot start. So they need him back.
Yeah.
So any other games that kind of caught your eye last weekend? I would, the Niners. We can do our weekly Niners
Well,
rundown. Niners were dominant. Baker Mayfield looks terrible, like we talked about,
uh,
and Niners just rolled on them.
I think that was part of the reason why the coach from the Carolina Panthers got fired because he had an opportunity to get Jimmy G kind of slap in the face. Like, you didn't want this guy, and he comes and just like manages the game perfectly. I like the play calling. I like everything. It was just an easy game, so wasn't too many like questionable calls or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it was a solid game. Everybody kind of Jimmy G played well. The running game did well. Debo Samuel had a good game. Brandon Ayuk again. I feel like he's underutilized in their offense. He's a really talented guy, and he gets only a couple of passes thrown his way. Again, he dropped another long pass he should have caught. I mean, I think he should have caught the long pass. Same thing in the Seattle game. He dropped that pass as well. George Kittle was more involved, which was good, but that was in the first half. Kind of they're like, okay, they they game planned it right. They like scripted for him to be more involved on the the first couple of drives, but then it kind of just as the game wore on, he just again was just blocking,
Yeah.
for Jeff Wilson Jr. So, and then Tevin Coleman sighting, right? So Tevin
That,
Coleman's back.
yeah.
He had a big game. I honestly I don't know what to make of him in fantasy. I think it was kind of a one off, but he could have a good game. Revenge game this week against Atlanta. So we'll see
I'm
how
starting
involved he
him.
is.
I picked him up in a lot of leagues. I'm starting him, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of like I think he'll get one touchdown.
yeah, he's going to get the outside runs. Like
I
Jeff
think
Wilson's going to run inside. They're going to have Tevin Coleman run those outside zone reads, and they're going to also get him involved with the passing game. I think both backs
I
can
think
catch the ball.
I think they're
Jeff
gonna
Wilson
use
Jr.
him.
can catch the ball.
I think they're gonna use him near the goal line more.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. We'll see how Tevin Coleman does, but I mean I think he's worth the pickup.
Yeah.
Because the Niners are good. They're going to try and run the ball 30 times a game. So they're not going to give 30 carries to Jeff Wilson Jr. They're going to give Tevin Coleman might get 10 to 12 touches, and if he's getting that in space, he can make some good yardage with that, catch some balls, and then also potentially get touchdowns. So I think he's worth the pickup. Monday night, Kansas
Yeah,
City
that's all.
and the Raiders.
I thought the
That
Raiders.
was
I
your
thought
your guys.
I thought the Raiders looked good. I agreed with going for two at the end.
Hmm.
I I- and I agreed with the play call. Take it out
Yeah,
of Derek Carr's hands and let Josh Jacobs, your best player, have the ball. But I think Kansas City also knew it was coming, and so
yeah.
they were
They
able to
stuffed
stop.
him.
They were able to stop it, but I don't have a problem with that. And Josh Jacobs had another good game, and
Yeah, Josh Jacobs looks like RB1 right now. He's definitely
yeah,
top five.
yeah,
But I think he's definitely. They didn't extend his contract. They didn't pick up his option. So he's got some motivation this year. So
and then
he's running hard.
Darren Waller had a big donut. They said
Yeah,
he's
they
gonna.
they they made him active, and then he's got a hamstring issue, and suddenly he can't play, and gets you a nice zero.
He played
But
like two plays, and
yeah, and Devontae Adams had a really big game. A couple of long touchdowns,
yeah,
and he really messed up his footwork on that last play. Like he kind of just tapped his feet down instead of kind of just like dragging them. And I think, that obviously cost them the game because they would have definitely got that field goal at that point and won.
and I think
So,
that also contributed to his after game push of the guy because he was really
yeah,
frustrated. He was really frustrated at himself because he
honestly,
he makes
that
that
guy just,
plays 99 out of 100 times. He makes that play.
yeah, no, seriously. I mean, he knows that was on him. He should have he kind of tapped his teeth and then hopped out. So it's like he had plenty of room on the sideline. He could even have taken another couple like if he would have just like, you know, stutter stepped his feet, kind of like really quick, tap, 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 tap. Instead, he
Yeah,
kind of like tapped and then jumped. It was kind of a strange thing that he did.
yeah,
So I think maybe he was worried about the defender kind of going into his legs, and he kind of almost like he jumped out of the way a little bit. But
yeah.
I
He
don't. It
was
was really strange. And about the push incident, like I think the guy kind of like walked out in front of him, like almost like bumped him, and I think it startled him, so he kind of just pushed him. Like I think in the moment he doesn't know who that guy is and what he's trying to do, and if he's a cameraman or not. Like they usually have that clear for the players to go through the tunnel. And the fact that he kind of like walked right in front of him, and he saw it too. Like I saw some replays where he was like looking right at Devontae Adams when he crossed him, and he went right in front of him. And
oh
like
really?
it's almost like he was trying to instigate something. It was very strange. Now that he's like pressing charges and doing all this stuff, and then like went to the hospital. We all saw what happened. The guy got pitched over. It's not like he got punched in or whatever. It's not like Jordan Poole, right, where he got knocked out by Draymond Green. That was bad. But but he just fell over and like looked like, hey, what the heck? And then next thing you know, he's at the hospital, whatever. Like you know it's a play, bro. It's a play for money, clearly. So that was not a good thing right there. You know, to see. I mean, Devontae, granted, shouldn't have pushed him, but still, I think the guy's just trying to get paid, which is unfortunate.
But for the Raiders, as far as fantasy, I the only the only players you can really play are Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, and
Darren
their
Waller
kicker
hasn't done.
Carlson's a good kicker
Oh yeah,
too.
Carlson,
Yeah,
yeah. But
kickers,
kickers are
kickers are
people
people
too.
too. Yeah, I don't know. Darren Waller doesn't seem like he's playable anymore. He doesn't even. He's like the third option. Like Matt
Yeah.
Collins is getting more targets than him, and then there's Hunter Renfro.
Hunter
They
Renfro
got
is
a lot of mouths
not
to feed in
even
that offense.
Hunter Renfro has not even been doing anything this year.
Yeah,
Like,
he
uh,
he, he was back in the game. He caught a couple of third down passes. Like I think Carr trusts Renfro the most on third down. He looks for him,
yeah,
and him and he really should be looking Devontae Adams' way like every single time because Devontae Adams like literally wins every time down the field. Like that
yeah,
guy he's just so crisp in his routes and he wins every time. You could throw it to him every time and he's gonna like that's what Rodgers did essentially. He's getting
yeah.
like 18 targets a game or something crazy like that with Aaron Rodgers
Oh
essentially.
really?
So I mean it was like double digits every game with
Yeah,
Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. So I think that moving forward, they're on bye this week, so we're not going to see what happens and what's the fallout of the push. But we'll see what happens if they get suspended or something like that. But it's definitely going to affect their prospects moving forward. Upcoming weekend, we got a bunch of good games going on Sunday, and then Monday night is the Broncos versus the Chargers. The big game, of course, is the Kansas City and Buffalo game. It's going to be a high flying, high scoring affair, I would assume, with Mahomes and Allen. So should be exciting. Definitely want to start all your guys. I had a conundrum last week when I was trying to decide my line because I saw McKenzie was out and Knox was out, and I was like, okay, well, they're going to throw to somebody, and it's going to be Diggs, and then who else? And then, like, I clearly should have started Gabe Davis last week, but I didn't. I left him on my bench, and I was going to start him, and I started Curtis Samuel over him, which was, he still got like 11 points, but Gabe Davis went off. So, that was a mistake. So I would say, Gabe Davis is in line for another big game. You saw what we did last year against the Chiefs in the playoffs. He had 4 touchdowns, like 200 yards. So I expect him to have a big game. And, Stephon Diggs is always solid. Um, McKenzie's going to be back in the slot, so he's going to be playable because he's going to get some targets and potentially could get a touchdown. The Chiefs, it's really Travis Kelsey. Their receiving core, it's like hit or miss. Like you think Hardman would have a decent game, or MVS, Marquez Valdez Scantling. He gets some targets, but really only person I trust on the Chiefs to start is Travis Kelsey.
yeah.
And the
That's
running back situation has gotten a little bit iffy too because Jerick McKinnon's on. Then you got Isaiah Pacheco,
Pacheco.
Pacheco, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? So
Yeah,
he
it's kind of become like the New England Patriots. Like
yeah,
you don't know every week. You don't know who's gonna be the guy,
yeah,
and you start. Everybody started Clyde Edwards-Helaire last week, and
yeah.
he he had like 5 points or something.
Yeah, no, he was not good, and like he had been good like every week, really,
Yeah,
but last week he was not good.
and then Jerick
And
McKinnon turned into the guy.
yeah, and Jerick McKinnon, he is the guy now. I would say, but when you're talking about the guy on the Chiefs, it's not really the guy. So I wouldn't really trust any of those guys. You're going to play Mahomes and you're going to play Kelsey, and Harrison Butker's back this week, I think. So you're going to play him at kick, because he's going to get you points as a kicker, and that's about it for the Chiefs. I, I,
I
I mean, I would play Clyde Edwards-Helaire or McKinnon, but I don't know if I'm going to get, it's very hit or miss.
Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna get with them. What the same thing with the Buffalo Bills running backs. It's like Devin Singletary had one good game, but other than that, he hasn't really done much either, you know? And
Yeah. I don't trust the Buffalo Bills running backs
yeah,
much because you just don't know what you're going to get. He's had like one good game. Most of the time, it's Josh Allen throwing the ball, running the ball, doing
yeah,
everything. Josh
yeah.
Allen is going to be QB1. He's going to be the number one scorer in fantasy. He
Especially
was I should have took him with the second pick. I was going to, but I didn't. I thought he'd come back to me maybe in the second round, but you got him right in front of me. So you're enjoying the fruits of Josh Allen this year. So he's having a huge year. He's gonna continue to have a huge year.
the reason
Kansas City
why
defense is not good. They got
I
some a poor secondary. So
I made the mistake of not picking Josh Allen in a two QB league with the second pick, and the team that picked end up picking him is like I'm playing him this week, and he's projected to
yeah.
beat me by like so many points. It's like I'm still. That's why that draft our draft was after that draft, and I was like
Hmm.
I'm picking Allen, you know, yeah,
Yeah.
and so I picked him with my second pick, and then
Yeah. No, that's what I should have done. I put McCaffrey. McCaffrey has been solid. Everybody was making fun of me, but McCaffrey's averaging about 20 points a game. I mean, he started off slow, but I mean, even against the Niners, I was like struggling. Should I start him? Like, I knew he wasn't going to have a good game, but he had a good game. He broke off the run, he caught passes. This week,
I think McCaffrey's
this
gonna be better with Trevor
PJ
with
Walker,
PJ Walker, you know,
yeah,
and
because it looks like Mayfield's out for a couple of weeks. So this week,
2 to 6
Carolina's what?
weeks.
They're playing.
Carolina's playing Carolina.
How much do we care about the Carolina Panthers
I
and
know.
their
I only have
LA
McCaffrey in one.
Rams that
Oh
they're
yeah,
playing?
LA Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think McCaffrey's going to catch passes. He's going to get a ton of looks out of the backfield. It's still going to happen. I do think he's a little bit more mobile, PJ Walker, so I can see them moving the ball a little bit better. So we'll see what happens. Usually when there's a coaching change, like some stuff happens, and of course, I think they'll be competitive in the game. And the Rams are not good. The Rams are
Yeah.
just not good. And Carolina has a pretty decent, even though the Niners kind of, you know, did a number on them. I think the problem with the Rams is, and this news just came out, is that they lost Cam Akers, and who knows for how long, because he has decided to step away from football. I don't know on for how long, or that he's going through some personal issues, so he's gone. So it's Daryl Henderson Jr. and the running game was already kind of struggling. So
The
Matt
whole Rams
Stafford's struggling with
offense, the
pass
whole
game. Yeah,
the whole Rams offense is struggling, and
yeah. You got Cooper Cup, and then Matt Stafford's going to get chased by Burns, and who knows what's going to happen. Like I can see Carolina like defensively playing with them. I because the
and
only guy they're going to have trouble with really is Cooper Cup. So
yeah, they have a good defense. It's their offense that's the problem. Like
yeah.
how long can the defense defend? You know, like if
Hmm.
the offense isn't producing, like if you're on the field like 30 minutes, 40 minutes a game, like like it's gonna be an issue.
Yeah. So we'll see how things go with the Rams and the Panthers. I mean, I could see that being a close game, and maybe the Panthers with the upset there.
Do you trust
Um,
anybody on the Panthers besides McCaffrey to play in fantasy?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, DJ Moore's really been unplayable. We'll see. I'd like to see how he looks with PJ Walker under center. So we'll see how that goes. But at this point, I'd only play McCaffrey.
DJ
And
Moore has
then,
been hit or miss, right?
yeah. And, honestly, if I'm playing any Rams players, I'd play Cup, obviously. And, Higby has had, he's kind of had decent games.
Yeah.
And then Daryl Henderson Jr. is going to get all the carries this week. So, and he's going to get catches out of the backfield. So he's going to have a good game. I bet he'll have, uh, you know, 15 to 20 points this week. Like I can see that because Carolina's run D's not that great, so I can see him having a good week. So I would definitely pick up and start Daryl Henderson Jr. this week for sure.
Continue on with our week 6 preview here at Seattle and Arizona. So it looks like Seattle and Arizona have running back issues. Well, their starting running backs at least are going to be out. So as we saw last week, Rashad Penny in that exciting game with the Saints where Alvin Kamara busted out. So that trade's looking good for me, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
going back to Penny though, he fractured his tibia, so he's going to be out for the season. It looks like, and that means that Kenneth Walker, the third, is going to get a ton of play, and he's looked good. He was looked good in the preseason, and I think he's looked good when I've seen him. He's like really shifty and quick, so I think he's a really good pickup if you were fortunate to have him on your team or on your bench or able to pick him up this week because I think he's going to be a really good player down the stretch. So he's good, and then their backup DJ Dallas, probably should pick him up just to have as a backup just in case something happens with him, and he'll probably get some touches in the game as well. Arizona Cardinals situation, it looks like both Daryl Williams and John Connor, the Terminator. What was his name?
No, James Conner.
Was it James Conner?
Yeah, John Connor was a
John
fullback
Connor
on.
was he was
He was a
he was
fullback on the Steelers back in the day.
That's right. That's right. And then he was also the guy who saved the world in the Terminator, wasn't he? Where's Arnold with T1000?
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Yeah. So basically, we got, was it James Conner is his name now? Or John Conner? No, it's James Conner. So James Conner, he's going to be out this week. It looks like with the hip injury. And so Eno Benjamin is the play. He's going to get all the carries probably. I don't know who their backup is, but we'll have to look into that. Do you know who the backup is for Eno Benjamin for the Cardinals? I know
the backup.
I think it was
there's
Corey Clement they signed. Yeah,
they signed Corey Clement.
Yeah, so it's looking like Corey Clement in the backup role, and then Eno Benjamin's probably going to get a ton of work. He's probably going to get the majority of carries. And
Benjamin's been looking better than Connor, actually. You know,
and he has been ever since training camp. I know that they were, they've been kind of excited. He's got a little juice, and I picked him up, and unfortunately I dropped him. But I think you have him now, right? So
yeah, I got
starting him this week. So you're probably pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
he's gonna probably have a good game. I would start him in any daily contest that you're playing in for sure because I think he's gonna have a big week.
That was one of my last pickups, and I got him in a couple other leagues. Besides Marquise Brown and Eno Benjamin and Zach Ertz and Kyler, are you playing Rondale Moore this week?
I'm not too sold on Rondale Moore. I think he's going to get some play, but I mean, this week is probably the only week that I would consider starting him because once DeAndre Hopkins comes back next week, it's going to be Hopkins, it's going to be Marquise Brown, it's going to be Eno Benjamin and Zach Ertz getting some tight end looks. But other than that, I think Rondale Moore, he might catch a few passes, might get a couple run plays, but I think moving forward after this game, he might have a decent game this week. But I don't look at him as a long-term play that, I want. So I think once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, you got Hopkins and Marquise Brown and Eno Benjamin probably in that pecking order. Then you get Zach Ertz. So I would say those are the four guys that I would look to play, moving forward after this week. But this week, Rondale Moore might have, 6-7 targets and get decent amount of yards, maybe get a carry or two. So I can see him having a decent game as a flex option for sure.
Like 10 points.
Yeah, for sure. I do think that Seattle's going to win this game. I just have that feeling. I think Arizona's not that good a team.
Me too. I think
issues with the head coach. I don't think he's that good, and I think him and Kyler Murray are just not on the same page. I do see Seattle winning this game because it's in Seattle, and Geno Smith's been playing well. He's got Lockett and Metcalf going deep, and I think Kenneth Walker is a real threat out of the backfield. He looked really spry in what I've seen of him.
Gino has
So
like one good game and then one average game, one good game, one
yeah,
average game. So I'm not looking at Gino to like have the same kind of production as last week, but I just still do think he's a good play this week. I wasn't really sure sold on Gino before the season, but I picked him up in any league that he was available and plugged him in
yeah,
as a starter above Joe Burrow in a couple and above Justin Herbert and one and because like
of
I
Justin
still
Herbert, huh?
I don't think the Cardinals defense is that good,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Yeah, honestly, I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I do think that Will Disley, the Seattle tight end, is going to have a good game. He's kind of my
oh really?
sleeper tight end. Arizona's really bad against the tight end, so
Oh, okay.
I can see him having a good game as well. So I would pick up Will Disley and play him if you're streaming tight ends. I think that's a good play this week. I played him in a lot of my daily leagues, so we'll see
Okay.
how things go. I mean, I have Dallas Goddard, so I'm gonna play Goddard because he's been really good production wise. So
Why you make
um,
him French? Go there. I think it's Goddard. The
week's
Raiders,
episode.
Lions, and I got a lot of
Houston,
players on a buy in a
Houston
lot of
Texans are on a
leagues.
bye, so Damian Pierce, who's been a revelation this year, right? Everybody saw it coming in preseason, but man, the guy's been a stud. So
Yeah, Dameon
if you
Pierce
picked
was
him
good.
high, like a lot of people did, especially after the preseason he had, I know I picked him in like the fourth round, but he's been good. His first game was bad, but other than that, he's been good.
The Jets and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. So Green Bay should bounce back and beat the Jets. The Jets, they're not an easy out this year. I think they have
The
a
Jets are
decent
looking
team.
good.
They got a good defense.
Solid's got him playing hard.
Mm-hmm. But I do think Aaron Jones is going to have a big game this week. They haven't been really good against the run, so I can see Aaron Jones having a monster week. So I would definitely still play Aaron Jones.
And Brees Hall and Michael
Yeah,
Carter.
Brees Hall. Yeah, Packers run defense is not that great either, so I would play Brees Hall over Carter if I had the choice. But I think both guys should have decent games. Brees Hall probably gonna have the better game. He looks like he's a stud,
Yeah.
so he should have. I would definitely be excited if I had him on my team.
And the Jets don't really have too much receiving like viable options. Garrett Wilson looked good one game, but
Yeah, yeah. The Jets passing game, it's like who knows? Like you thought at first when Flacco was in there, it was all about Garrett Wilson. I mean, he was getting a ton of targets. He was,
yeah.
having monster games. But since Zach Wilson's been back, it's kind of been, one week it's Corey Davis and it's Eli Moore. Garrett Wilson really he hasn't had good games since he's been back. So
And I think Zach
I
Wilson goes more to the running backs too.
yeah. So and you look at the catches by the running backs by Carter and Brees Hall. It's been an uptick there. So and even like Tyler Conklin, he had like a zero last week. So it's like it's interesting how the quarterback changed really the dynamic of the offense. So
Yeah.
under Flacco, certain guys were feasting, and then now with Zach Wilson, it's kind of like all across the board. It's more of the running backs who seem like they're having the more of the action in the games. So
I think the Jets
probably
could
trying to run it more
win,
with the
but
rookie.
they have to have like a perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Packers going to win that game.
Yeah,
But
probably.
they'll find a way to win it. They'll bounce back. All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode of the PVG Football Podcast. And me and Arash, aka Persian Pinocchio, you can find us on Twitter, Persian Pinoc1.
So we're gonna have shows Monday night and Friday morning.
Yes, we'll do
Same
two.
bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, we're expanding for everybody. So if you like what you hear from us, subscribe, like our podcast, and we'll keep giving you that football news and the fantasy football advice because we got all the answers, right? Number one. All right. See everybody later. Peace.